Jesus' spirit versus Satan's spirit, who's winning?
I mean, Jesus
every day of the week, right?
Yeah.
And twice on Sunday. We are Saints in the South, your source for gospel growth and good times. All right, welcome everyone. Season 3, episode 103. Or 103, yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Is it?
It's 103.
Yeah, we're up there, man. We're in the hundreds.
Well, we are in the hundreds. Hey, actually, real quick, we had some statistics come out last night in the email. Did y'all happen to see that?
Lay it on me.
Our 2021 year in review.
Lay it on me.
All right, so just take a guess about how many downloads we had. Just podcast downloads.
Just podcast
downloads.
Mm.
Don't
I don't
it,
even.
so.
No. Honestly, I wouldn't even know how. And
100.
No, it's more than that. Obviously, it's because it was like it went in the thousands already. I think way back. So I'm gonna say
100,000
for 1 year.
For 1 year, just for 2020.
Yeah, just 2021.
I mean 2021.
Just 2021.
Okay. 6,000.
Pretty good guess. 9,000. Over 9,000.
Is it really?
Yeah, just podcast.
I mean, I honestly went up there. I was like, I'm just gonna throw it way up and see it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was almost 10,000. And then if you take
Good grief.
And the YouTube and the podcast,
I know got some pretty good traction
stuff. So we had about 20,000.
That's awesome.
Downloads from with the.
Thank you guys for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we
wow.
appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Yep. So this week we are in Genesis 3-4 and still in the Pearl of Great Price, Moses 4-5. So the title this week is The Fall of Adam and Eve. Maybe just to kind of jump on this and on this title, The Fall of Adam and Eve. So a lot of people, I'm not going to say any particular religion or anything, but a lot of people put a blame on Adam and Eve, saying they messed up, right? Well,
there's such a lull and such an overcast to this thing, it's like, oh, it's the fall. I mean, you got the 3 great pillars, right? You got the creation, you got the fall, and you got the atonement,
right?
And it's like when you talk about the fall, it's like, this was the disappointing part,
right,
this was the part that we messed up here. I mean, it
was all part of the plan, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So totally not true at all when you think that way. So
in order to get back up, you got to fall.
Yeah, exactly. And it was absolutely necessary, which is why it's one of the pillars of the gospel. So yeah. It really opens your eyes to it,
Allows us to have agency.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
it allows us to have everything, really.
Yeah.
I mean, children and posterity, and so
yeah, that's right. So I mean, Adam and Eve, they were innocent.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say innocent, I mean they didn't know good from evil.
Right.
They didn't know right from wrong prior to the fall. And they were kind of, in my mind, they're just kind of in la la land, and just just kind of walking around and taking care of things and doing whatever.
I mean, being we're on this subject now, just to start it off, I guess it is important to get it out of the way. There's sin and there's transgression, and usually those words are used synonymously. They are put together a lot, and they do somewhat mean the same thing in a lot of contexts when you say transgression and sin, but there really is a level there. There's a level difference there. And I love the way that this was explained here. It really helps me understand a little bit better. It says the words sin and transgression are used synonymously on many occasions, yet there's also a difference in their meanings. We know that to sin is to break the law of God, but to transgress may mean to go beyond a limit. In fact, the word transgress comes from the Latin transgredior. I don't speak Latin. Anyway, that word, it says trans meaning beyond and gredior meaning to pass. So past the limit. It says to sin is to break the moral code. To transgress could be to violate a law without sinful intent. As an example, a person intentionally breaking the speed limit while driving a car on the freeway could be classed as committing a sin against the laws of the state, while a policeman exceeding the speed limit while chasing a criminal would have transgressed the speed limit law, but having done so in the performance of duty for a noble purpose, would not be punished for breaking the law against speeding. I was like, whoa, okay, that's totally makes sense. I get what you're saying there. So the scriptures tell us concerning Adam and Eve and the forbidden fruit, And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. So we hear that word transgression there, and that's in 1 Timothy. It says Eve was deceived by Satan and thus violated the law that God had given to her and Adam. Adam, on the other hand, made a conscious decision to partake of the forbidden fruit in order to comply with the higher law. So they transgressed the law. They didn't sin. A lot of people want to, and I think that's where the cast comes, the downcast, the overcast, or whatever. I'm trying to think of the word. The bad thing that Adam and Eve did, and it honestly really wasn't a bad thing. It was necessary. It had to be done. And we want to think that they sinned, or they didn't sin. They transgressed the law, yes, but very different. Like you said, I think you said, hit the key word. They were innocent. Right. Think of a young child. I think of a young child, and when I say young, 3-4 years old, you tell a child, don't touch that stove, it's hot. That's the law. I mean, it's a true law. You touch something hot, you're gonna get burned. It's just the law. And so you tell that child not to. What if that child goes over there and touches it? I'm not, as a father, going to be like, you're done. Get out of my house. You know what I'm saying? You're an idiot. I mean, it's a small child, Yes, I told him what to do, but that child did not go do that just to defy me. I mean, that, and I guess a child could, just to be, because of their child, but they're innocent. They don't know. And so it's just a little bit different. You know what I mean? I'm not going to then punish that child the way I would have punished, an adult that is doing something deliberately. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like we're saying here, they're innocence, not knowing good from evil and things like that. But they did know that law, but they did transgress it because they saw a greater purpose. Right. And they understood that. So.
Well, let me ask y'all this. So from Moses chapter 4, where he says, where Heavenly Father presents the plan.
Yes.
And Satan says, behold, here am I, send me, I will be thy son, and I will redeem all mankind, that one soul shall not be lost, and surely I will do it, wherefore give me thine honor. Do y'all think, was there any kind of goodness in his intentions, or do you think it was all evil? Do you think his sole purpose was to get the glory? Or do you think he had some, it's actually a really good idea if none of your children are lost? Why? So was there any good in that?
I'll say.
Let's see what Andrew's got.
I mean, I have thought about.
Yeah,
I compare it to today, to our earthly experience. If a dad or mother forces their kid to
go to church,
forces them
right
to do a lot of things. At the end of the day, you can't force righteousness. So I've always thought, the mom and dad wants their kid, obviously, to do good. So was there that, was Satan just I don't know, this great businessman? Hey, I'm gonna get I'm gonna give you 100% results of bringing all your children back.
Yeah.
But over the years, as I have thought about it and thought about this, I think it wasn't for righteous purpose, because Jesus was the only begotten son. He was already chosen.
Yeah.
He was already chosen to do this, but Satan just comes up with this plan for, I don't know if it's for pride reasons or for the honor, like, look at me.
That's interesting. I've never thought about that. You've made me think of something here. Was it as much as Heavenly Father asking the crowd, like, who will volunteer for this? Or was it more like saying, was it more an introduction for Christ to stand up and say, this is what's going to happen? Yeah. I mean, you understand it's almost like, I'm thinking of a calling in church or something. You get called as a high counselor. You know how they do. I mean, and they call you, or in the bishopric, you get called into the bishopric or whatever, and they have you stand up. Right. And it's almost to the point, like, it's not so much that the stake president got up and said, who would like to be the first counselor in the bishopric here today? It was already you were chosen to be first counselor, but all of a sudden, brother so-and-so stood up and said, I'll be first counselor. And you're probably sitting there going, well, I've already been interviewed and it's already been established. That really wasn't that's really not what stake president was doing here. He wasn't really asking for that. He was just sort of doing it in the way that
Yeah.
You know, like, who is the person that has been called to do this? And
Yeah.
for Jesus Christ to stand up and say, it's me, I'm going to do it. And we probably all kind of knew it was him. He was like, but then Satan stands up over here and saying, hey, I want to do it. You know, let me do it. You know, I think that's interesting.
That's a good analogy.
I've never thought of that
like
before.
that.
And I wonder if that's how that went down.
Yeah. So I used to think one way, but here lately, we keep on reading and learning.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ was the only begotten.
Right.
He was already chosen.
Yeah. Right.
He was chosen, but Satan,
he's proud. He
was like, well, you know, I want some of this honor. I mean, it says here he wants some of this honor, so therefore he presented this plan, which was
right.
going to be shot down anyways. But his plan evidently attracted 1/3 of the people. You know, so
look here.
So
yeah, he was very good at what he did.
So I tend to think that I think that Satan, but because I believe that there's good in everybody, in every in every spirit, in every spirit child, and everything. So I think
at least at one time,
right.
Yeah,
so my thought is that Satan had good intentions, just as parents have good intentions, although they may choose to take the wrong course of action, right? On trying to get their children to do what they want them to do. And so whether the pride was first or whether the intentions was first, I don't know.
You're right.
But I do think that Satan had some good intentions to try and save. And with all that, he thinks, you know what, that's a great plan. That's a great idea. So why not just give me the glory?
I think I'm sort of like in the middle of both of you guys. I think y'all both hitting. I think we don't know. Obviously, we don't. This is all opinion. But Satan's good at what he does. He didn't become Satan overnight, right? He didn't. This all started in the pre-existence. This started as the plan was probably being presented. Satan was around as the plan was presented. He was there. He probably knew Jesus Christ was going to be chosen before it was announced to everybody. He could have been one of the ones that was in the room because he was way up there, right? I mean, we know from, and so maybe that's where it triggered it. He thought he's going to get picked. That ain't right. I want to be picked. Look at me. I'm right here beside him. We're pretty similar. I'm also really great and whatever. So I think that Satan, being the great deceiver, the father of lies, we'll see here in this story of, all this with Adam and Eve and such, that when he tells a lie, there's usually half truths there.
Yep.
And that's the the best way to get someone's attention and to get people to believe you is to give a half truth. If there's no truth in it at all, it's pretty easy to shoot down, but if you're given a little bit of truth, it's like, well, you make a point and it feels right because truth is recognized by the Spirit. No matter how it's received, there's truth. The light goes off. That's truth. But he throws something in there to make it, it's twisted.
Right.
So when he did it,
I mean, I don't think we'll be able to settle.
Right. You can't settle it here. When he did it,
it's something for y'all to think about. Kind of mull over.
Earthly thing quickly. With my mom, if I wanted to go out on the weekend, I'd always called it putting the love on. And believe me, I'll answer to this for my mom, one day, and she knows it. She knew it. I thought I was being cool and being able to trick her. She knew this stuff. We know it now with our kids. They'll put that love on. I'll wash the dishes all week. I'll do whatever. I'll make sure it happens if you let me go do this.
Right.
I think that's the angle Satan was coming from.
Yeah.
I'll save all the children. That's the purpose here, right?
Yeah.
We want them all to return. I'll make sure they return. You give me all the glory. That's what I want. So his purpose wasn't. His secondary purpose was to save everybody. His primary purpose was to exalt himself into beyond the Father. Right. He wanted to be the Father. He wanted to be beyond that. Even he wanted everything. So I think that's me. Yeah. That's my opinion. Anyway.
Yeah, and I think just ending on that point, because if it wasn't in that order, he would have stepped back in line, so to speak. He would have. He's okay. I see the error my way.
That's a good point.
But he didn't. He was all about the getting the honor.
And there's a great parallel here between Cain and Abel. It's a lot like that. So
Adam and Eve, bam, the fall of Adam.
Yep.
The world falls into a
fallen state.
Yeah. Fallen state. They have children.
Which means what? What's the fault? What do you mean by fallen state? Because
fallen state is you're cut away from the presence of God.
Bingo.
So
That's
you're in a fallen state,
too.
And so therefore there's trials, there's obstacles. The first principle has to be applied, faith. That's the thing, applying to faith.
That's it. That's actually what. It's not that we're cut off from God. We're just. It's farther distance.
You're cut off.
It's longer distance now. No, I don't even sound right there, because God still wants to be close to us, but it's different because we're not walking around with.
You're cut off from His presence.
There you go.
Like his
exactly.
Physical, just
so they could still hear Him. They could still talk to Him, but it requires, like you say, more faith now.
And Adam and Eve, a cool thing is that they're in a fallen state, and God knows we're in this fallen world, fallen troubles, fallen everything that's happening in our fallen path. I mean, everything's doesn't go our way sometimes. And so therefore, send His only begotten Son, the whole plan where we're kind of saying earlier, Jesus, was chosen.
Yeah.
And anyways, because we live in this fallen world, what am I trying to say? I'm having a blank.
The atonement.
The atonement.
Yes.
Yes. The atonement. So Adam and Eve recognized. So that's the thing. They recognized what they did. And in this fallen world, we're going to make mistakes. But when we start to recognize it, that we made a mistake, the atonement, we can apply the atonement. Where Cain and Abel, and that's what we're about to talk. Cain and Abel, Cain made a mistake.
Yeah. But
he chose not to recognize that he made that mistake here on this fallen world, So anyway, the reason I say all that is that we live in a fallen world. We're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
That's obvious. We're going to make mistakes. But let's remember that the atonement is real, and that we can apply it once, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times. Many times in our lives. So,
and what a relief.
Yeah, what a relief. So what's up, Cain?
So here's my question. So in the scriptures, it talks about Abel was over the flocks, right?
Yeah.
He was a herdsman or what have you, a shepherd or something. Right. Cain, he was a gardener.
Yeah, more like a tiller of the ground.
That's right, and everything. Mm-hmm. So, when you kept in my mind, when you first kind of read that, he took of what he had responsibility over, right? And he took of the fruit of the ground, and he gave that as an offering.
Right.
Who? Cain did.
Yeah.
And fruit.
And it's interesting how fruit went with Adam and Eve.
Yeah. There was fruit involved there.
Yeah. And that's what I was trying to say earlier.
There's a lot of parallels.
Yeah. So Adam and Eve, there was a fruit, but they recognized that they did wrong.
Yeah. Right.
Cain, there was a fruit, but he would not accept what he did. He did not recognize that he did something wrong, and therefore there was punishment.
Right. Yeah. And
and that's kind of what I was getting at with that is that he took something of something that he was responsible for, and he gave of his offering, right?
Yeah.
But that wasn't the way of the law of sacrifice.
Bingo. Right? And he knew that.
Right, exactly.
He knew that. Or at least he was taught that. We know Cain had the priesthood. We know all these things. And so he knew this. And so it's just, that's what fascinates me about Cain. It's like, what happened, Cain?
Satan.
Why? Yeah. I mean, he really, Satan just really got to him, and it's just so sad. It's so sad. It's heartbreaking. If there's anything about the fall, and really Cain didn't have anything to do much with it was Adam and Eve, obviously, that created all that. But when we talk about Adam and Eve, the saddest thing to me is Cain. It's just so sad. It's just really, really, really sad. And I can imagine the sadness of Adam and Eve. I mean, that was the first time that
they're just
really
starting
happened.
off life.
That's what I'm saying. That, and to know that one of them murdered the other, that's new. Yeah. And it's just horrible. What a horrible, horrible thing. I don't know, so it's very sad, very sad.
So verse 21, where the Lord in Moses 4, Moses 4, and this same conversation is in Genesis as well. Right. But where the conversation between between the Lord and between Satan. And in verse 21, he says, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, between thy seed and her seed, and he shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So if you put God and Satan, or Jesus and Satan up against each other, who's going to win every day of the week and twice on Sunday?
Yeah, Jesus.
Jesus
time.
is right.
Right.
So now if you put me or Andrew or Marcus or anyone against Satan, who's going to win?
I mean, we better be on our A game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We have the power to defeat him, but we're not.
So that's kind of where I'm going.
We're not perfect.
Do we truly have the power to defeat Satan? Do I have the power to defeat Satan?
What do you, so to put in context what you're saying? I mean, what do you have to what?
It's what,
are you just talking about,
in today's terms, it's 1v1.
But are we talking about Marvel?
I'm talking
level, like Thor,
Thor
versus
Iron Man. Or
okay,
something.
one dude's a man, one dude's a god type thing. Is that what we're going after? Is that what you're going from? Big
spirit versus spirit.
Oh,
spirit versus spirit, because that's what we're battling over, right? We're
So
battling over spirits, not mortal bodies.
I'm trying to understand here. So are you leveling us out? Or are you trying to see where the
Jesus' spirit versus Satan's spirit, who's winning?
I mean, Jesus
every day of the week, right?
Yeah.
And twice on Sunday.
And so you're saying us now.
Now Marcus' spirit versus Satan's spirit.
I mean,
1v1. Who's going to win?
Okay, so I would say this. This is how I would answer that. I think Satan is far more intelligent than I am. And probably when we were actual spirits, that was probably the case also. I mean, he still is. But so right now, he probably has more knowledge of the scriptures than me. I'll put it like I'll just say it like this. I don't want that to happen,
right?
Because I don't know. I don't know. I would love to know that. Yeah, I'll take him down. Obviously that's what but it's Satan. I mean,
but you're on your own though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Satan would probably mop the floor with me if I was just, I look at we talked about it last week a little bit, Moses and Satan interaction, the encounter. Moses got scared. Right. Moses went down. He was like, whoa, I see the bitterness in hell, everything's getting a little bit crazy here. And honestly, if it weren't that the spirit was so strong with him at the time because of the great experience he just had, he still had that spirit with him, a little, when we all do, we got the Holy Ghost with us.
So that's the key.
That's the key. That's what I'm saying. So that's what you're getting to. What tools do we have?
That's what I'm getting.
And see, and that makes sense now. Okay. See, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. It's
without
just
Iron Man suit, he don't stand a chance against Thor, right? You know what I'm saying? Or let's say Loki, because he was the bad guy. Yeah. He don't stand a chance against Loki, but with a suit, he's a little bit more in out
with the Lord,
and he's probably got more.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, I see what you're saying now. Yeah, so, you're right. You're right.
So my point in that is that we're here. The Lord says that Satan, you will only have power to bruise a man's heel. Woman's heel, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got you.
Because of the atonement. Right. Because of the gospel of Jesus Christ that we have. And man will have power to bruise your head. Yeah. Right. To crush thy head.
Crush thy head.
Thy head.
That was actually the word.
Yeah. It's bruised here in the scripture.
Bruised in scripture, but we find out that it meant crush. Right. Crush was the word more closely.
That's right. That's my point on all that. Getting back to what Andrew brought up, the atonement and everything. In order for us to defeat Satan, to overcome him, we can't do it on our own. We can't do it by ourselves. Because I believe if I'm facing Satan, knowing me as a mortal individual and the temptations and everything that I face, if I don't use the Savior's power and the
have you sinned in your life?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so there. I mean, yes. Has Satan defeated me? Yes, several times.
Right.
Do we allow? I guess one thing I want to make clear is that Satan can't just walk in the room and just shoot us down. The Lord does put limitations and things on him to keep that, but we can invite him. We can, through and that's what Cain did, man.
Right.
Cain didn't all of a sudden. I love the fact that we have the scriptures now, the revelation and the clarity to know that Cain didn't. This all didn't happen in one day. He didn't do the sacrifice that morning I mean, offer
Right.
do the offering that morning. Satan and God gets onto him, which I love. I love the fact that God comes to him and gives him a chance to repent and do better. He even says, "Why are you so sad? Like, why is your countenance fallen? In other words, why are you depressed now? Why are you upset? I don't accept your offering because it wasn't right. That's not how it works.
Right.
You're supposed to sacrifice an animal. It's supposed to be in the similitude of the only begotten. All this stuff. Why are you sad? What's going on? It won't be accepted, but if you turn around and do it right, it'll be accepted." I love that the Lord tells him that. But Cain had an opportunity there to repent and say, okay, you know what? That's true. I'll do better. He could have done it. He had his agency, and the Lord is very merciful. I love that. It shows how merciful the Lord is, how many chances we get.
Right.
But Cain went the other way. He took offense just as Satan did whenever he wasn't chosen. He took offense and he left, Yeah. I mean, it's just such wonderful things here.
Yeah. So you had mentioned sacrifice, and Moses 5:6.
Oh yeah.
And after many days, an angel of the Lord appeared unto Adam, saying, "Why dost thou offer sacrifices unto the Lord?" And Adam said unto him, "I know not, save the Lord commanded me."
Yeah.
So how do we apply that? Is there anything in the gospel that you have to apply that to in our lives? Do y'all have anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything, right? I mean, honestly,
well,
it's not everything.
It's
not everything. There's things that are easily seen,
right.
The things that come to my mind is just, I don't know. I mean, it's such a wonderful principle. Let me just say this about it. When I read that, when I not just this time, but when I've read it in the past, I thought, what a wonderful truth for the world to know. And it's gone. It's when I say when it's gone, it's one of those things that were taken from the Bible. It was one of them things that was omitted, taken out. And I'd mentioned a little bit earlier before we started the podcast about how the things when Joseph Smith was doing the translation of the Bible and trying to, fix some of the things that were taken out and misinterpreted and basically trying to bring back the truths to the Bible, he noticed there was a lot of things that were omitted from the Bible. And I love the fact that a lot of the things that were omitted were things about Satan and key things, things that Satan was probably embarrassed of, the interaction with Moses,
Right.
Moses, don't put that in. Moses had all that written down. He had it down. It was supposed to be to the world to know who Satan really is and what his purpose is. Satan don't want that there. He takes it out, right? It's lost forever, supposedly,
Right.
except for the restoration. But then we have things like this. I know not, save the Lord's commanded me. I'm just going to obey because the Lord said it until I get further information. That's the way we should be, right? We shouldn't just obey out of blindness, but we should obey because we love the Lord. And then eventually the knowledge will come, So I hate that that's lost to a lot of people in the world. And I'm glad that we have that truth restored today. And what a wonderful truth it is. So it's hard for us sometimes to come out and be like, why don't you drink tea? It don't kill you.
Right.
It won't kill me. I could drink tea right now to the day I die. And it may be the reason I die. I don't know. But what I'm getting to is I'll live a long time. I mean, and I'll have a clear head and I'll be able to, do things. But why do we not drink it? I don't know. The Lord said, don't do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's
I don't know what else to say.
That's probably one of the best examples.
That probably really is. It probably really is.
The coffee and tea.
Yeah. The coffee and tea. But yeah, I'm glad it's there. It helps me a lot. It helps me a lot to be able to go, okay, Adam, this is Adam we're talking about too, right? This is the first great prophet. Let's just be honest. I mean, he's the first man. And so he struggled with some things. I think in Nephi, when he said, I don't really know, except I know the Lord loves me. You remember he said that? It was something to that effect in Nephi. I love that stuff, man. It makes me feel good, but I ain't got to know everything. I don't have to be an expert.
Right.
To be willing to do what I need to do.
It's kind of like this podcast. We don't have to be scholars to have a podcast.
Exactly. I mean, look at us. I mean, look at what we're doing.
But we can't ignore the fact that we should not want to know why.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Exactly. Bednar said that it concerns me as I see young people in our church who know all the correct things they should do and do not have a clue as to why.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Do we understand why? So we can't just say we can't be robots. That's the thing, because if you're a robot, then there's not really faith applied.
Yeah, exactly.
true repentance happening.
Right.
You know,
I think
So
our faith will never turn into secure knowledge if we don't find out the why. You know,
Yeah.
we only just run on faith. That can be hard just to run on faith on certain things
all
like
the
that.
time. Yeah.
You know, you got to
Yeah.
eventually know.
yeah, well,
Essentially-
why not study? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
So a little about the why. So I recently wrote this week I think you read the intro to the book. I think you'd say
Yeah. So should we mention that?
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta
do you want to?
I don't know.
Hey, look here, Mr. Author over here.
No,
He's right. He's in the process.
I'm in the
Get ready.
process of working on a book,
And,
right?
and it's
So-
outstanding. I was
I don't know
the
about
part
that.
that I got to read. So
But anyway, so what I wrote this week,
I'm putting the foreword in it.
there you go.
Isn't that what it's called? The dude.
Yeah,
that-
exactly. Yeah. So anyway, what I wrote about and anyway, the premise of the book is basically leadership principles based on the Book of Mormon and leading in the home, right?
Yeah.
And so, and talking about children and teaching children, you know, children are great about why. You know, you explain why this,
Yeah.
why,
Yeah, you're right.
well, yeah, why. You know, you can answer it. Well, why that? And so again, I think that's an innate thing that comes from our spiritual side, wanting to know, wanting to understand, and as a parent, sometimes especially when we get frustrated, we resolve to just say, because I said so. Okay. Or just because, you know, you need to go do this. Why?
Yeah.
Because I said, right. So knowing the why, like you said, and searching after that why, I think we should search after it as much as possible and don't just settle just for faith. Okay. But because sometimes that does become too much of a struggle.
What does it do though? What does it do for that child when you give them the why? It makes it easier for them to then obey it again.
Right.
For example,
because
don't
you understand.
Yeah, don't go over there to that ditch, you know, or whatever. I don't know. I'm totally throwing out here. Don't go over there to that ditch, you know, whatever. Right. Small kid, why not? Why not? And you can say, because I said so. And you know, that can probably hold them for a little while.
Yeah, that'll protect them temporarily.
But that can also cause a lot of curiosity if you're not going to tell them, they're going to find out.
Right.
And so then they're going to go to the ditch. And perhaps it's a cliff or something they're going to fall. I don't know.
Right.
But what I'm getting to is if you tell them the why, and I'm not saying we always have to tell them the why right away, but it's important to find out the truth and to know, because once I figure out that, oh, I don't go to that ditch because there's a big old shock full of rattlesnakes over there. I mean, I'm not going over there now.
Right.
You ain't got to tell me not to go over there. I know I'm not going over there. So yeah, the why is important. You know, it can help keep us on the path when we know the why.
So just a really quick funny story. So last night we actually grabbed churros to eat, and we decided to play some games while we
Tex-Mex food for all those
right.
that it's really good.
We decided to play some games while we were eating, and so I put Amanda in charge of the games.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you've got four kids all wanting to play something different, you know.
Right,
and then you got
Amanda's your
fussing and
wife.
stuff.
Yeah.
Amanda's my wife.
It's not one of the kids. Yeah.
That's right. So she grabs a few different games and everything, and Chase again.
Yeah.
Chase is.
It's always Chase.
It's always Chase. If you listen to this, Chase, it's all right. Though.
Yeah.
You know.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah. You know, anyway, real quick. So Chase, he starts again arguing with the selection of games that his mom has selected and everything. And so Amanda, she resolves to say, she says, because that, you know, and anyway, I said, hold on one second. I said, I wrote this in my book. And I started going through it, and she just looked at me like, "Get your book out of here!"
So get that book, I slap you with.
Exactly. Give me that book, I'll slap it with.
Yeah. So there's a time to give the why. You know what I'm saying? The why may put you on the path, but to keep you there, maybe the commandment may put you on the path or whatever the command is, but the why will keep you there sometimes. Right. But you got to know when to implement.
But you got to listen to the why.
Yeah, you got to know when to. Yeah, we talk about the why, and we talk about the wife. Okay,
she looks back at Chase after I said that, and she says, "Because I said so."
Yeah, exactly. when it comes to that, it is what it is. I mean, that's it. So one thing I want to mention about very first verse in chapter 3 of Genesis, and just anyway, the part where it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. Subtlety. So a serpent, right? A snake. Here in South Georgia, we see snakes all the time, right? How many times have you seen a snake from 200 yards away?
Right.
You don't.
No.
I mean, you really don't. When do you see a snake? You just about step on it. Whoa, man, look at it right there. There's a snake. It made total sense to me. Satan is subtle. He's on you before you know it.
That's right.
And you're like, how did it get here? I didn't even see it. You know what I mean? And it's like it's almost too late. It just feels that way. But I thought that was just such a perfect analogy as a serpent. It's just, you don't see him from far off a lot of times. We have the power to, Holy Ghost, things like that. If we're on our A game and we're watching and we're looking, sure. But it's very hard. He's not gonna make it easy. But I just thought that was very interesting.
That's cool. And just to go right along with that, I'll give a shout out to my mom. She's given this analogy in church before in a talk.
Yeah.
But there's a vine that's called Morning Glory, and it's I mean, just like vines do, they grow very slowly. They creep. They take their time. But eventually, if you don't take that Morning Glory out, and it's interesting that the name of this vine is Morning Glory, right?
Yeah, the son of the morning.
Exactly. That's right. It really, seriously. So, I mean, it slowly creeps and grows, and it wraps around trees, bushes, and things like that, and then it strangles them, and they end up dying. And so that's a great analogy.
Yeah, I think so. He's subtle, and we got to be careful. We got to be ready. So.
Absolutely. All right, well, there you go. Episode 103 in the books. Y'all be sure and hang around for some bonus material, some discussions. It's going to be interesting. Yeah. So be sure and check it out, though. But until next time, y'all keep on striving. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you would like to follow us on social media, you can do that through Instagram and Facebook at Saints in the South. A great place to join in the discussion would be our podcast group page on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter, Saints in the South, at 5 Southern Saints. And then, of course, on YouTube, hit the like button, notification bell. And if you're not already, be sure and subscribe. And then finally, you can check us out through our website, saintsinthesouth.com, where you can have access to all the podcast and YouTube videos. And then we would love for you to take the opportunity and leave us a review and rating. Thanks again for all of your support, and we will see you next time. All right.
Bigfoot, anyone?
Bigfoot.
Oh, man. So Andrew says he believes in Bigfoot.
Bigfoot?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, had some interesting thoughts. As a matter of fact, these thoughts didn't even really enter my mind again until this morning. I was coming up here this morning, and it hit me. I was like, well, you know what? I said, people that claim to have seen Bigfoot, right? And we're going to get there, guys. I'm just hang in there. This does have a little something to do with but the people that claim to have seen Bigfoot, Big Harry, I think of Harry and the Hendersons, right? The movie. That's what I think of when I think of Bigfoot, or the Sasquatch. What's it called? Jack's Links commercials. Super funny, by the way. Anyway, I think of that. That's who I think Bigfoot when it enters my mind. But somebody out there saw something at one time, and this whole thing started rolling. That's the way I feel about it. It could have easily been just made up as a folklore or something, but I feel like somebody at some point saw something and at least ran with the idea, and then it turns into what it turns into that we see today. It's a big market. Guys
dressing up in what are they?
Ghillie suits.
Yeah.
Ghillie suits. But it's been worldwide. The Yetti, it's got different names. Bigfoot, the Yetti, Sasquatch.
So
there's some podcasts out there too.
I'm telling you, man.
Searching for the.
So I don't want to sit here and act like we're Bigfoot enthusiasts or anything. I really don't think about it, and the TV shows and things like that. It's all for money, and it's all it's entertaining. I'll just say that
it's called capitalism.
Yeah, capitalism. Sure, yeah. But yeah. So here's the thing. So we have a couple of recorded accounts, right? Of Cain. We're talking about Cain here. Cain was cursed, and he was marked. It's important to remember those two things are separate, right? Those are two different things. he was cursed to be separated from God and to wander the earth forever and not die and be miserable, right? And just never have a home. Nothing grows for him as far as food, nothing. He has to. So anyway, he's separated from God. That's the curse. And then the mark was set upon him. It doesn't say specifically what the mark was. A lot of us have heard that the mark was that his skin was darkened, so that people would see and go, okay, don't mess with that guy. Right. Because the Lord said, whoever tries to kill him, because that was his argument was, Lord, now everybody's going to try to kill me because they know who I am.
Vagabond.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
And so the Lord said, well, whoever tries to kill you is going to come upon him sevenfold or something like that.
Sevenfold.
And so he marked him, whatever that is, somehow to distinguish him from whoever. But anyway, so we have a couple of accounts here, and this goes along with the thing. It's from LDS Living, October 12th, 2016 by Katie Lambert. This is LDS Living. Are they news? What are they? I don't know. Just magazine, something, stories. I don't know. Anyway, it says, talking about Bigfoot, and people talk about Bigfoot, but this is so David W. Patton, which was an apostle, the great martyr, the guy that asked to be a martyr. We talked about it last season. A wonderful man. I mean, look at the life of David W. Patton. I mean, it's amazing to me. What a great man.
Faithful.
Anyway, so he has an account that he met Cain, and it goes as this, and this is why this is the bonus material stuff, right? This isn't, doctrine. I'm not.
So it was recorded. This is the big recording of it.
Yeah,
it's even written in the Miracle of Forgiveness.
The Miracle of Forgiveness.
President Spencer W. Kimball wrote it in that book.
Right. So it's been around. I mean, people, and I'm sure a lot have heard it. I find it fascinating. But I don't. It's always be careful of spinning your wheels too much in things that, this doesn't really pertain to our salvation here, but it's fascinating.
It's a fun and entertaining rabbit hole.
So this is David Patton's. He was on his way to Adam O. Smoot's home, and he encountered. This was in 1835. He encountered a very unusual individual, and this is his words, right? It says, I suddenly noticed, David W. Patton. He said, I suddenly noticed a very strange personage walking beside me for about 2 miles, which I thought, that's a long way.
It's a long way, yeah.
To walk with somebody for 2 miles, it's a long way.
He was on a horse now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. David Patton was on a horse. So for about 2 miles, his head was about even with my shoulders as I sat in my saddle. I think we figured out it had to be at least 8 foot tall, somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 foot tall.
Here's how tall David Patton was now.
David Patton was 7 foot tall. No, I don't know.
No, but anyways, yeah.
We say an average size man. We try to figure it up, a horseback and average size man. We actually
put up a picture of Lily on a horse,
yeah,
and a grown man standing next to her, next to it and stuff. So
yeah, you got to be in the neighborhood of 8 foot tall. Yeah. You got to be in there. So anyway, that's how, that's about how tall we're thinking. He said he wore no clothing, but was covered with hair. Harry and the Hendersons, anybody?
Oh, you said 8. What about the sevenfold?
Oh no, that was
foot. I'm just playing.
Yeah. Sevenfold. That's when you fold in half. It's actually 4. No, okay.
Go ahead.
So he wore no clothing. He was covered in hair, with hair. He said his skin was very dark. Okay. He said, and I'd made mention that David Patton probably had seen Native Americans, right, and their dark skin. So whatever this was, his skin was very dark. So perhaps darker than that, he said that he had no home. This is what he said that this person had said to him. He said he had no home and that he was a wanderer in the earth. He said that he was a very miserable creature and that he had earnestly sought death. Could you imagine though, just be wandering around all the time, nowhere to go? It just sounds so, and that's why it's so fascinating. Just with Cain, it's like, why did you choose this?
Right. So, I mean, so he was cursed not to die, right?
Tell me Satan's not good at what he does to get Cain to get to this point.
Right.
My goodness, everything, man. But anyway, the last little part here, he said he said he's very miserable, he earnestly sought death, but that he could not die, and his mission was to destroy the souls of men. That's what he told David W. Patton. So it says the Patton says the stranger introduced himself as Cain, who murdered Abel, which I thought was interesting. I mean, that would be the last thing I'd want people to know is if I'd murdered somebody. I mean, for me personally,
Right.
you know, I wouldn't want to just go out blaring that out. But if you look at serial killers and things like that, they pride themselves in that stuff. It's a thing. So I think Cain was proud of that. It's so weird to say, but anyway, he murdered Abel, his own brother. Anyway, it says Patton said in order to get him to leave, Patton said he rebuked him in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and by virtue of the holy priesthood, and he commanded him to go hence, and he immediately departed out of my sight. So it's just interesting, just very interesting little account there. Not saying it's doctrine. I don't.
Well,
you know.
Well, here's what is doctrine, and that we know is that he is roaming the earth.
Yes.
That he is there. Cain is still alive.
Yeah.
He's still roaming the earth. Right.
Yep.
We know that, right?
Right.
Yes.
And so here's something that I just thought about that is kind of crazy to when you think about the Lord and patterns and everything. In 2nd Nephi, we learned that there is opposition in all things.
Right.
In all things, not some things, in all things,
Yeah.
right? So who else is currently walking the earth until Christ returns? You got 4 people.
Hey, look. Yeah, you're right. You got the 3 Nephites,
3 Nephites,
and John the Beloved.
John the Beloved.
Right.
And it just hit me. There's your opposition.
Yeah.
With those 2 things.
Yes.
You've got one
Satan's walking
who's
around with one of his.
who's living until Christ returns, trying to destroy the souls of men.
That's his mission.
And you have 3 Nephites and John the Beloved who are walking
Saving the souls of men.
saving the souls of men.
I tell you,
Opposition in all things.
And that's great. That's great.
I tell you what, Cain's got to be a good swimmer because Noah's flood. What's up? I mean, what happened?
You know, I think he hung on the side of the boat. Hey, he could have posed as one of the animals, one of the apes. I don't know. No, that wouldn't work because there's only 2. So let's don't get into that area.
So do you think he ever just like goes to the top of a cliff and just throws himself off? Just like
you know what? I actually thought about that. It's like he can't. The words here, he could not die.
Right. Yeah.
That suggests to me that he has tried.
Right.
He's tried to die.
Right. Curse to live forever.
Nobody
and
can,
to live forever.
and nobody can kill him.
Right.
Nobody can kill him either. So it's not just that he can't die or kill himself. He's not allowed to be killed. It's what a miserable. I think it's just why it's so fascinating to me. He had everything. He had everything at his fingertips. I guess it could be said about any son or daughter of God. Any of us, we have everything, and just. Wow, he loves, and it kept saying it over and over. It's great. He loves Satan more than God. He loves Satan more than God. And it's very apparent in the scriptures that not only did Cain speak with the Lord and heard his voice, but he also spoke with Satan and was in his presence as well. And for whatever reason, he loved Satan more than the Lord. And it just blows my mind to even think about it. It just blows my mind. And I don't know. You know, remember he yelled out, "I'm free." When he killed Abel, he's like, "I'm free." I don't know if he meant that he was free because now he was going to get Abel's flocks, you know, and he'll have money or whatever, or he don't have to work anymore, or if he was free from Abel's, you know, presence because Abel was always reminding him, you know, how bad you are. I don't know. But he would, and it's so strange that Satan, that's what he wants us to believe, that we're free when we're completely bound up. And that was it just amazes me. One more, and I don't have to give the whole thing here. There is another account. E. Wesley Smith, which was the son of the prophet Joseph F. Smith, was serving as a mission president in Hawaii. Can he swim? I guess.
Yeah, I was joking.
No, but I'm just saying, how do you get to Hawaii? I don't know. I mean, he had to swim. I guess.
That account says he saw him in Hawaii.
Well, he said he was serving as a mission president in Hawaii when he had his encounter.
Through a tunnel.
I don't know. Did he take a boat? I mean, he could have. I guess he could have stowed away. I don't know. I don't know.
He could have rode a dragon.
Hey, but look here. Does he have the power to transport, or what's it called, teleport type thing? I mean, we do know that the apostles do, or the ones that we mentioned, the 3 Nephites and John the Beloved, can go anywhere they need to go whenever they need.
All we know
there.
is that he wanders the earth.
He wanders the earth. So
yeah.
So anyway, he has. So E. Wesley Smith, son of prophet Joseph F. Smith, he was serving as mission president in Hawaii when he had his own encounter. This is according to Matthew Bowman's article published in the Journal of Mormon History. The night before the Laie, L-A-I-E, the Laie Hawaii Temple, I'm not exactly sure how to say it, was dedicated in 1921. E. Wesley experienced the following events. He said, "A man came through the door. He was tall enough to have to stoop to enter. Once again, it's got to be around 8 foot, because you think a door height is about 7 foot, average door height. Anyway, so we're up there. He had to stoop to enter. His eyes were very protruding and rather wild looking. His fingernails were thick and long. He presented a rather unkempt appearance and wore no clothing at all. There suddenly appeared in Smith's right hand a light which had the size and appearance of a dagger. A voice said, "This is your priesthood." He commanded the person in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ to depart. Immediately, when the light appeared, the person stopped on being commanded to leave. The person stopped, and on being commanded to leave, he backed out of the door. It says, Joseph Fielding Smith wrote to his brother, that strange visitor was Cain, whose curse is to roam the earth, seeking to destroy whom he may destroy. So I didn't read this part. It says Joseph Fielding Smith went on to say that there was always unusual evidence for a period just prior to the dedication of every temple, and Cain was representative of the spirit of the adversary. While these are not the only stories that claim Cain still roams the earth today, there are among the most well documented. Like you said, there's opposition in all things. Yeah. It makes sense that Cain is showing up around priesthood holders' major events because that's where Satan would want him. Where's Satan gonna be? He's gonna be where Joseph Smith's trying to pray to the Lord, right? He's gonna be where Moses is having an encounter and learning about the creation and receiving his own endowments type thing. Right. He's gonna be there too. So where's Cain gonna be? He's gonna be doing what his master tells him to do. So
I got some friends who used to work on, the state of Florida. The church owns, if I understand right, they own more property in the state of Florida than anybody, right? Is that how something like that?
I've heard that.
Yeah. They own like more property, anyways,
than Walt Disney.
Yeah, they own a lot. They own a lot of property. So growing up, you always heard of the Mormon Ranch,
right?
Here in Southeast Georgia, you always heard that Mormon Ranch in Florida. So knowing some people that worked there or lived there, second, third hand accounts that I've heard over the years that, and some of it can be folklore, but how they saw a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch, and again, the story gets bigger every time it's told. But anyway, there's just some would relate that to the Cain,
right?
And again, President Spencer W. Kimball wrote it in his book. It was it was documented in his book, and he shares that David W. Patton story. I remember being fantasized. I remember being really curious about it.
Yeah, just fascinated with it.
Yeah, and I remember on my mission, I didn't have Miracle Forgiveness, but I heard it from a missionary. And I just thought it was so cool. So that one time, a lot of times, if you were able to see your mission president, you would just ask him all these questions. Probably had nothing, anyways.
Mission president's like, come on, dude, I need you on something else here.
So I remember this beautiful day. He gives his beautiful sermon on this hill. It was like a beautiful, like great day. Right. It was a great day. Yeah, right. So after it gets done, looking back, I was immature at the time to even ask this after this beautiful moment.
Yeah, right. Let me bring up Cain.
Yeah, dude. So I said, I went up to him, out of all the things that could have been said or asked, I said, man, I just want to know about Cain. I was just asking about Cain. And he gave a quick explanation. He mentioned the Spencer W. Kimball book. Yeah. And he basically just said, we don't have much recorded history on it. But then he stopped me and said, man, just look how beautiful it is today. And how beautiful the world is. And
make sure we're focusing on what matters.
Yeah. And I remember, and he wasn't a jerk about it.
Right.
But I remember leaving that day thinking, okay, look at all this beauty we have here on the earth. And but even at that, I still like the Harry Henderson movies. I still like
right.
I still like riding Mount Everest and the Animal Kingdom. The Yetti.
I like Jack Slink's beef jerky. Is that the right one? I mess up. I think it is Jack Slink's. I had the
so you like Cain?
I don't like Cain, but I like the funny images of it.
No. So
so watching Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
on
yeah.
Johnny Lawrence
Through Vid Angel. I
that's
mean,
right.
let's make sure because it's got some bad cussing in it. But it,
on season 4, little spoiler alert, on season 4, he's making like this manwich stuff, ground
Yeah.
beef and everything, and he takes a spoonful, tastes it, and it's like, that's not manly enough. And he takes this Jack Link's beef jerky and dumps it
And he
all,
dumps it in
dumps
there?
it all in there
Oh,
and stirs it. It's like,
no.
that's better.
that was salty. Gracious. Probably teriyaki flavor. That'd help.
Yeah. Well, very good. Before we get out of here, just a couple thoughts. Marcus is driving that Facebook page.
Yeah, yeah,
the
group page.
The group page.
If you haven't joined, please look up Saints in the South podcast group. There's a Saints in the South page, and then there's a Saints in the South podcast group. Look it up. You can join. Anybody can join.
I'll try and see if I can figure out and put the link in the notes and stuff.
Yeah, and everything. And that's where we can get some discussion going. That's where and under the YouTube comment section you can too. But honestly, the group page is better for us. I think only you can kind of see the notifications on the because you're the administrator on YouTube. You can only have one administrator.
Right.
But for the podcast, we can all see quickly. So there's more time for us to respond or more chance.
And everybody that's a part of that group is notified.
Yeah. Exactly. There's more of a chance of somebody responding.
That's right. Exactly. It's easy to respond, easier to
and maybe even someone else can respond to you. That's not us,
exactly.
in the pod. I mean, and so then we can then join in the conversation, etc. It's really a great place to discuss and we welcome all people, anybody, and suggestions, answers, questions, whatever. So
and I think the great thing about the group page is that anyone can initiate.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, it's the best way to join the podcast. I'll just put it that way. If you want to join the podcast, get on there, and you'll never know. We've even discussed some maybe some future things where we do maybe send out some invitations through Zoom, maybe where some of you guys can join us through Zoom and join the podcast. And so I think that's a great thing. So please use that podcast group. It's just Saints in the South podcast group. You should be able to find it. Search it on Facebook. So
one last thing. We don't have an active store, right? A link or anything like that. However, we are set up to do individual t-shirts with the with the vinyl and sublimation, which is ink printed and so forth. So if you want a Saints in the South shirt, see if we can get it on video here, right there. There we go. Saints in the South shirt with we've got different sayings and everything out there. And if you just think of one saying that you'd like to have on there, shoot us an email and we can get it printed out and stuff. So, but
should I reveal or should we say, should I reveal the cool thing about one of the symbols of our with the golden mic? Or should we have people
I say we save it. I say we save it.
Okay.
Yeah, let people figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's a cool thing about the I mean, look,
that's your first clue.
Yeah, look at our
sometimes it takes years.
Look at our
for people to reveal
and see if you can catch what's going on there. I mean, whoever does that will maybe send them a shirt.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, I hate to throw that out there, but maybe so. I mean, we're not the richest podcast, but
we know who's paying for that shirt.
Right. And look. Let me go and disclaim. It needs to be somebody that's obviously not super close to us because they probably already know. I want somebody out there.
You can't live in the city of Waycross.
You can't live in Georgia, okay, or Florida. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. See if you notice anything. If you do, put it in the podcast group, or or something. Throw it on there. It's pretty cool. Anyway,
very good. All right.
And then if somebody figures it out, and I'll tell the little story about how that came about. So that's not super fascinating or anything as the Cain story is, but it's interesting. So,
all right, y'all ready to get out of here?
Let's get out of here.
See y'all.